Thursday, February 17th. Kyle is coming in and out of the camera. We have some advice from speed skaters today talking about the great resignation. We're going to drop a little privacy from a little company named Google.
Everywhere I go, the people really
Kyle's
know
really.
I'm just feeling it today. Let's go.
Leaning into that bounce this morning. Play it for a second. Oh, man, so much going on in the automotive world. So much so that we're meeting a whole lot of other troublemakers these days, Kyle. Yes. I mean, they're starting to DM, email, jump into the live streams, comment. We actually had our highest traffic day ever on asodu.com by many factors, by several times.
Yes.
And, a lot of that has to do with the fact that you've been putting in the work to build out the site right. So Google's indexing it. We're writing original articles, including the one that Ben Hadley talked about yesterday. Yeah. We, talking about Tesla and Super Bowl ads and how it matched up to the other things. But the point is this: we're trying to draw a big circle around the entire industry. That's right. Everybody from the lot porter all the way up to the dealer owner, so that we can all be thinking in the same direction, innovating faster, and have a little fun while we're doing it. Let's do that.
A lot of, and not just a little bit of fun, a lot of fun.
True. That's
I actually in our email this morning, and if you don't get the email, sign up at asodu.com. But in our email this morning, I said, hey, look, we actually love hanging out with you in the morning, not just on the podcast side of stuff, but I open the email every single morning, even though I help build it every single day.
Me
right?
Too.
Because it's just interesting. I normally, as you're reading and editing, sometimes you can't actually like consume the content in the right way. So I get to reconsume the content in a way that I would if I was,
because you're not in the weeds.
Email.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
Like everybody's contribution, not to mention when we're putting it together, it's the end of the day, right? So it's the day's work. Now we're assembling all the pieces and building it and getting it structured to go out. But look, we pack a lot of energy into that email. And so it is kind of nice to open it in the morning and like reap some of the benefit of the energy depletion that it took to build it, right? And have it kind of feed you back in. So if you don't get it, like Kyle said, asodu.com, and share the email, because the referral program is awesome. And we're starting to get the swag items in. So we're going to start fulfillment. We just got the notebooks in yesterday. Oh. The Diary of a Troublemaker notebook. So we're excited. There's a big ramp up going on to NADA around here in the Asodu world. We're bringing a team of 6. We have press credentials. We're going to be covering the show from front to back. If you can't be at the show, make sure you're tuned into Asodu content and following us on social channels. We're going to do our best to make you feel like you were there from meeting let us know who you want to meet, who you want to talk to. Because we'll find them.
We're not afraid of anyone. We will find them and get them.
I don't know, Kyle. You seem a little shy to me.
Hey, so we just hold a mic up to every single person. They're like, what's happening around me? That already said all of a sudden 3 cameras. Right? It's
so if you have somebody, a thought leader, a dealer that you want to meet, and they're going to be an NADA or you think so, shoot us an email, crew@asodu.com. Let us know who it is. If you're a company or you're doing something fresh or you want to get your CEO on the show or something like that, crew@asodu.com. Let us know who it is so we can schedule it. Again, we're going to try to see and go anywhere. And if there are any great parties that vendors are throwing, right, and you want to invite your boys, right, we'll try to show up and cover your after party a little bit and make sure that people know about the good things that you are doing.
I'm prepared to sleep 4 days straight following NADA. Let's just say that.
I'm already preparing. I didn't tell you this yet. Actually, I didn't tell you this, but I actually booked another hotel room, a second one, because Kyle and I, we're not fancy. We'll roll 2 up, right?
Right. We'll do it.
But I actually booked another room for NADA because I know the velocity at which we're going to be running. I know for me, I'm going to need like at least a quiet 30 minutes where I can be like,
it's okay.
Because Kyle called me this morning and he's like, hey, I'm calling you before we get into the studios because we have to get the pleasantries out of the way because we need to record the show, because that's just Kyle and I. Like, if we're like, I had 17 thoughts from the last time we texted yesterday. Right? And so,
It's so fun.
we're trying to bring everybody, and we want your thoughts and your pleasantries in the mix because that's how it rocks. If you have the email, we have some sponsors on there now. Show the sponsors some love. Click on their links, visit them because they are supporting troublemaking at a broader scale. So let's get that. We have some big ASOTO announcements coming very, 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 very soon. But now let's talk about some things.
Get out of the announcements. Let's go. It's Thursday. We got things to do.
As I say that, there's one more announcement. Our
Yes.
Clubhouse room today. I always forget the time. Is it 12? No, 3. 12. You sure?
Eastern.
12 Eastern. Women Inspiring Auto, ASOTO.club. We're talking about the great resignation, how it continues, how it's impacting automotive. And we got some expert people in this room today. So check it out, ASOTO.club. Okay, I saw an article on Inc.com because we're always perusing articles and seeing what's interesting. And it was about a Swedish speed skater. He just won the 5,000 and broke the world record in the 10,000. And he released a 65-page training manual. And people are like, should he have done that? Should he not have done that? However, the training manual wasn't just like the specifics. I do this many of this and that many of that, but it actually laid out his philosophy on training. So it was a little philosophical. And basically what he says is he focused on simple insights and he focuses training on how to improve the simple things and he's like, hey, if you want to stretch, great, stretch. But if you're just stretching because you feel like you're supposed to do it or it will make you better, he's like, I think your time is better spent actually improving your cardio because you're probably a lot better off in your flexibility than the cardio you need to do 30-second laps on repeat. And so we linked the article up in the show notes. He brought it with speed skating way down. He's like, the way I look at it, it's just repeated one-legged squats as fast as possible, fast enough to get a 30-second lap.
Wow, that's crazy. When I think you said like people were kind of coming after him, like maybe he shouldn't have done that. This goes back to the like, share everything. Why not share everything that you're doing? Because if you're sharing it, it means that someone else hasn't done it yet.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And so if he's the first person to break the world record, no one else has done it yet. He's probably already iterating on what he wrote on a month ago. Right. And so if you're trying to copy that, you're behind already, just period. So
that's a great point.
Yeah.
But how often it's so easy to focus on, I totally fall victim to this. I focus on a more complicated thing because it gives me something to focus on when in reality, it's the basic disciplines of my role and my career. It's the basic disciplines that actually need more work. Yep. Right. I had a pastor once that said, you don't need any more knowledge about the Bible. He's like, you just need more obedience to the knowledge you already have. Think about this, Kyle. We're in and out of dealers all the time. How many? It's like, I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. How many times? And then you start listening to phone calls. You start listening to phone calls and you're like, hey, here's a pile of 130 leads that haven't been properly answered yet.
Right.
What are you going to do with the new ones?
That's exactly what it is.
Improperly handle those too.
It's exactly what it is. It's the problem of like not knowing what you have already and what is called and has been called for so long, the blocking and tackling of things, yes. Right? The basics is like I think that a revisitation of the basics in business or life or anything like that on a regular basis going, hey, why did I move away from doing something that at one point was so productive for me, right? Was it a move away because I got complacent? Was it a move away because it was a directive, right? Right. I meant to do that. But most of the time, the things that we move away from that are most productive for us, like the skater, like I do these things every day and it's a regiment because if I don't, then I can't build on.
I'm never going to get there.
I'm never going to get there. So what are those things in your business or in your day-to-day that you have just for some reason at one point or another just stop doing and thereby like crippling yourself on the harder things? Right?
We should actually, we're thinking of all these show ideas because we're building out shows for the ASOTO network, if you will. Yep. And maybe one is like block and tackle, right? It's like the basics. Let's talk about the basics. Which kind of reminds me of
Segue time.
Oh, MC Hammer wasn't at the Super Bowl, but he was a 90s sensation more than a 2000 sensation. But that reminds me of our pitch tank winner yesterday. Every Wednesday we have a pitch tank, a soda pitch tank by Auto Genius on Clubhouse, where 3 companies get to pitch their product. And the winners yesterday was a man named Larry Feldman. Now Larry Feldman is a Philly guy, 20-year GM, who is now a recruiter, and I guarantee you he will become one of your favorite people in the industry if you have a second to even listen to him speak. He's a recruiter, Career Changers USA. He won Pitch Tank, and he has an old school simplicity.
Yes.
Focusing on the basics. He's like, I pick up my phone. That's the Philly accent. I pick up my phone.
Is
Paul.
I'm not sure if that's like South England or Philly. I'm not sure.
That came across a little weird. So he says use guys. He says water, right? But he picks up his phone. That's what he does. And so, but Larry is old school basics. And guess what? He crushes it. Kyle, you have some experience with the services from when you were at Nelson.
Well, it was interesting. And you said he's like and even he says like, I'm a quirky guy, right? And you get on the phone with him or you hear him speak and it's just like, it's back to the basics. It's what are we doing to just do the things that make sense. And he says it this way. He's like, I don't have a pitch. I don't have a deck. I don't have a fancy website. I'm just telling you that when I do it better because I'm better at it than anyone. And he's like, because I do the simple things right. And I know people. And I think it's a really interesting thing. And then what happens is, yes, he's really good. I mean, from a recruiting perspective,
right? It works.
It's like, how did he make that happen?
He's got
we had ads out for 4 months. And then all of a sudden we throw this on. It's like 2 weeks later, we got a tech, right?
One of the questions yesterday was like, well, why are your ads better than dealer ads? Like they're placing ads, you're placing ads. My ads are better. He's like, and I respond so quickly.
Boom.
They think I have spyware on their phone. Right.
Right.
But he's like low tech as it gets, right? He's just paying attention. He's willing to do the work. He's willing to do the simple things. And so I think he's a great example of like, you don't need to be fancy to win gold medals and get world records, right? You have to be consistent. You have to be simple. Let's talk about some other news. Google, big announcement yesterday for Android users, or as we like to call them, the green bubble users. Let's be snobby for a second. It really is. It's always a little disappointing when you start a group message and it was blue, and then you add that one number and it turns green. You're like, oh, all right. Well,
you know who we're talking about.
I'm not going to mention. It's a Brian. It's a Brian, but we know a lot of Brians, so we'll just leave it there for a minute and let them fight amongst themselves. So this was a major hit to ad platforms like Meta when Apple all of a sudden said we're giving people the option to not be tracked. Actually, we're going to make it more default than not default. And you've seen what happened to Meta's valuation, right? 300 billion lost valuation, not just because of that, but a big part of it. And now what's Android doing?
Yeah, so they're giving it a 2-year timeline that they're gonna allow users to essentially say yes or no to these cross app tracking parameters. But they're going to make it a little less default. Plus, Meta has come out and said, and a couple other organizations have come out and said that they're okay with this because it gives them a 2-year timeline to work with advertisers and apps and all that to make sure that the setup is right so that they can continue to engage people in the right way. Users can engage with the platform. Interestingly enough, right, the iPhone in the US accounts for about 85% of the total user base, about 50% of the total user base. Worldwide, Android actually takes about 85%. So just dropped a whole thing off the side. Yeah. So when you think about it, like worldwide, this is much more of an impact factor for advertisers and app providers. But I definitely think that Brian Ortega said, it's not me. I have iMessage.
He's not the Brian. Just to be clear, Brian Ortega, it's not him. I know our comment responses are a little late because of the live streaming delay, but we just want to make sure we clear that up.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, you've got you've got a major ad platform provider that also has because Meta is obviously like when you're thinking like Apple, Google Meta from ad platform, and now Amazon is entering that ad platform from a total dollar spent. But when you're looking at, am I going to be able to track those? It's a major play for those ad providers to give like, the insights to advertisers, even in automotive, as to whether or not we should be advertising to these particular people. So for Google to say, hey, look, we're coming to the game too, but we're going to be about 2 years, just hang tight, which is,
well, it takes a lot of the pressure off, right?
Yeah.
Apple's like, hey, when you open your phone this morning, you will realize we've totally changed everything.
Yeah,
we've destroyed your world.
Real quick, speaking of Meta,
stop. Segue
time.
We're not going to take too long on this, but you can click the show notes. Meta employees are now being referred to as, get it, Meta
mates. I had to say it together with you.
Come on, guys.
We're Meta mates.
Move
like,
on
do you have
from
to say that with an Australian
That's just-
accent?
We're Meta mates.
We're
Meta
mates.
mates.
Meta mates.
Yeah.
Yay. All right. One last thing, because we're running out of time. We're a little goofy this morning. We love to talk about stuff that's happening in showrooms across the country. We don't think there's enough of it. Last night, Beaver Toyota in Cumming, Georgia, had 400 small business owners in their showroom for an awards event. Why?
Yeah, so the awards event was for Forsyth County, and they were giving away their annual business awards. And so the dealership had actually won the best place to work in the county. Nuts, a dealership, best place to work.
Let's
normally
go.
Like tech company, something
We
like that.
We need to write an article about that.
Absolutely stellar. Plus, they not just were the best place to work, they hosted the event. It was like a full-on Met Gala in a showroom for the county. Absolutely incredible. Shout out to Patrick Abad, his team there, for just engaging the community in so many different ways on a daily basis.
Kyle, do you think that being a great place to work increases sales?
Huh?
Do you think small business owners buy cars?
Those 400 people probably know where that place is.
I have a
Don't you
feeling
think so?
that there's going to be a disproportionate amount of car sales amongst that group in the near future. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks for spending time with us, making a little trouble here first thing in the morning. Please sign up for the email at soda.com so you don't miss anything, and you can be part of this big circle we're drawing around the industry. Can't wait to let you know what's going on next.
Get it